Hey, I wanted to make a video about my Strymon Magneto. I have the eurorack version and I absolutely love it. I've had it for a couple months now, and yeah, these are my 9 favorite things about the Strymon Magneto. Number 9, the pause function. It's got this great function where you can take the tape, the simulated tape that's running, and you can stop it and then start it up again. Kind of like a cheap trick, but I use it all the time because it sounds great. Number 8, it also has a reverse function. So it'll run the tape in reverse. So you feed your signal in regularly and it comes out backwards. Super cool, super vibey. Number 7, you have independent control over the tape speed and the delay time. So it's kind of complicated, but they've actually modeled a real tape machine where a tape runs along and the input signal goes in, gets written to the tape, and then the tape keeps going along, and then it gets read by the first output, and that's the delayed signal number 1, and then it keeps going along and then gets outputted again later on. So what you end up with is these different delayed outputs, and it's dependent on how fast the tape is running. So what I can do with this is I can set where those different taps are, where it's going to output the signal, independently of how fast the tape is running. There's a big knob that controls how fast the tape is going. So what I do with my eurorack system is I'll send in a tap signal that will keep the delay time relatively similar to what it was before. So it'll stay in time with the rest of the song, but I can change the speed of the tape and get these kind of like unstable effects that then stabilize themselves. It's super cool. If you like this video and want more like it, feel free to subscribe to my channel. Number 6, you have a record level knob. So if you turn it up a little bit too much, it has an LED next to it. If you turn it up kind of a lot, then the LED will start turning yellow, and then it'll start turning red. And you'll get some soft clipping that sounds like tape saturation. It sounds really good. I love things like that that just warm everything up a little bit. Number 5, you have a switch that lets you select between an 8th note feel and a triplet feel. And this is huge for me because I love rhythmic stuff and I love polyrhythms. I love putting triplets over quarter notes and quarter notes over triplets. I just love it. So this lets me do it super easily, just one flip of the switch. Number 4, the Spring Reverb. It has a little Spring Reverb attached to it. I don't know if people asked for this or what. I wouldn't have thought of getting a Spring Reverb for my modular system. I would have thought of some like huge, like shimmering, crazy thing. But this reverb sounds really, really good. It's super just juicy and tropical sounding. I absolutely love it, and I use it all the time. It's super usable. Number 3, the wow and flutter and the crinkle. You can actually control the amount of detuning, and so wow and flutter is like a little bit slower detuning, and the crinkle is like more like fast detuning. And just having the control over those, it makes everything a little less stable, a little more, especially if you're doing rhythmic stuff, it makes it just feel a little bit more human. And if you have a lot of things that are going on the grid, which a lot of the times I do, this helps take it off the grid a little bit. Number 2, if you're running this in stereo, then just stereo outputs. I run a mono input into it, and I get a stereo output, and it gives me stereo width without being a ping pong delay. I don't really like ping pong delays. I don't like the do kind of feel. This just gives me, so both the delay times are at the left and the right delay time are the same, but they're just slightly different from each other. I don't know if they put a little bit of chorus on it or they just changed the delay time just really subtly. I think that's probably like the same thing, but you send in the mono signal and the delay will just be a little bit spread out in the stereo field. And I love that because I always want to have a little bit of stereo interesting things going on if I'm going to be using a delay. And the number one reason that I love this thing, among the others, is just the low cut knob. It has this really nice low cut that is super usable. I'm almost always running my drums through some kind of delay to make them a little bit more human sounding. And I like in this patch that I have today, I'm running everything through my delay. And I do that a lot. And that works really well, but the problem is you don't really want your bass drum being delayed because you end up with it's just like a lot of bass drum, and I like something a little more sparse. Sometimes I'll just turn that low cut all the way down and it sounds great, but you can turn it all the way up and it'll delay kind of everything except for your bass drum, or you can find some midpoint and the bass drum will sound like maybe like a tom or something, just like a little bit different when it comes through the delayed signal. And that really helps make drums sound really, really cool. Well, so there you have it. Those are the top 9 reasons that I love the Strymon Magneto. Here's what I've been doing with it recently.